The podcast you're about to hear was made with Anchor. Make your own podcast for free at anchor.fm.
You're listening to the SMA Audio Show. The SMA Audio Show is a podcast, an audio podcast that you can listen to in your car, whenever is most convenient to you, on your smartphone. And it's here to showcase the different stories and events that go on a day-to-day basis over at St. Michael Academy in San Diego, California. Today, we're really blessed to have one of the newest teachers, the team members, Mr. Okuley. He's currently teaching grade 7, and he's also in charge of the science program for grades 6, 7, and 8 at the school. So we want to welcome to the call. For those who you haven't met in person or yet, can you go ahead and give us a brief introduction about yourself and how you got into Catholic school education and teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, my name is Mr. Okuley. I am brand new to the San Diego area. I've actually only been here for a little over a month, so very blessed to be at St. Michael Academy and find a nice new home already. It's just been wonderful there. Right before this, I'm coming from Boston. I lived in Boston for the last couple of years, where I was working on my master's degree in theology and ministry at the Boston College School of Theology and Ministry. And before that, I did education and math at John Carroll University for my undergrad. And so for almost as long as I can remember, I've always been very interested in teaching and education. It's always been a passion of mine for sure. And then, of course, especially with the last couple of years, getting a chance to study theology and ministry, Catholic education, I just always knew would be the route for me for sure. So very blessed that in moving to San Diego, St. Michael Academy had an opening, and luckily I was able to fit the role so far. So hopefully we can continue that moving forward.
Awesome. Well, we want to welcome you, and just like we welcome all families, you're part of the family. So we want to welcome you, to the campus and the community. And we know you're getting settled in and enjoying your students and everything. So we want to get right into it and not take too much of your time. We've got a couple of questions for you, and one key question, just like we asked a couple of students last week, and we talked to some parents. We wanted to find out from a teacher's point of view, how was your first week at SMA going so far?
Yeah, for me, from my perspective, the first week was fantastic. It was much better than I could have ever hoped for sure. Of course, just as you're saying, being at SMA, I mean, it's a real family atmosphere here, and that's not taken lightly. And so it's really nice. The students have been fantastic. I know, being a first-year teacher as I am, everyone tells me if you can work on behavior and get your classroom management down, then you're golden, But the students here, I mean, they already have that part done. I mean, the hard work's been done for me already, which is fantastic. The students are so well behaved. The classroom management then is really nothing at all, which is fantastic. So we've been able to jump right into having a lot of fun. We've been learning. We've been, especially the first week, again, with myself being brand new, I really just wanted to take the opportunity to get to know the students personally before we jumped totally into the academic work and whatnot. So now that we're transitioning into the second week, we're still getting to know one another even better. But luckily, I think we've built up a nice community in each of the classrooms, and I think we have some good relationships established. So that way, when we jump into the schoolwork, I think it's been a little more productive as well. But the students have been fantastic. The teachers and all the staff at SMA have been as welcoming and as helpful as you can ever imagine. It's been a real privilege to get to know all of them, and then the parents as well. Everyone has a smiling face in the mornings and the afternoons when they're picking up students. Everyone is so welcoming, and they just, so many people. I've been amazed at how many people say, "Let me know if you need anything at all. Let us know what we can do to help, if we can provide anything." So it's been a blessing to start off here for sure.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we're happy to share that with you. And the one thing too is we like to showcase that for you just on a consistent day-to-day basis. So we feel pretty good that consistently that's what we always try to achieve, and we'll do our best to show our best face and put our best foot forward for you all the time.
Yeah,
so
thank you. You can definitely feel it here. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. We're going to jump into the second question, which is a little curveball. Obviously, in interviewing for the position, you have to speak to the head honcho, our principal, Miss Mary Johnson, and she's very kind and nice, but obviously she's the principal for a reason. And so on a lighter side, I'm always interested in the interview. Did she happen to tell any funny jokes or crack any humor, to lighten the interview process?
Yeah. So I mean, she was pretty serious and straightforward during most of the interview. We shared some laughs and whatnot, some smiles, and of course she was extremely welcoming. But as the principal, she's looking for someone who can actually be the right fit. She's not just looking for anyone who's just gonna slack off in the role and whatnot. But I do remember one thing toward the end of the interview. She looked at me, and I thought she was getting very serious, and I'm still not sure if she was joking or if she was serious, but she looked me dead in the eye and she said, "Do junior high students scare you?" And of course, being in an interview, my answer was, "No, not at all, not at all."
Right.
She just stopped and she goes, "Well, they should," and that was that. So again, I don't know if she was being serious or funny or what was going on, but regardless, I found it to be pretty funny. But no, the students here have been great. Definitely not too scary at all so far. So
okay.
We'll see as the year goes on, but that was a fun way to get going for sure.
Well, we agree. Like you said, it's still early on, so we got to let the normal academic year take its course and everything. But hey, if it's off to a good start for you, then at least you got a good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, we're gonna go ahead. We don't want to take too much of your time. We're gonna finish up with the last question. So, one thing, or it's kind of a two-part question. We want to ask, how's teaching in junior high different from your perspective than high school? And also, what's a great attribute that you yourself as a teacher bring to your class that you really want to pass on to your students, that you hope that they carry on, as they progress in their young adult and into their adult lives?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the first part, the students here, so junior high compared to high school, I think, so far anyway, the students here just seem so, I think, like, the word I think I'm looking for is sweet. Like, they're just very sweet and kind kids, They're super nice, super friendly. Everyone wants to help out in the classroom. They're more than willing to have classroom jobs, to help clean up, to help me organize the classroom, decorate the classroom. I mean, it doesn't matter anything. They're all about it. Where I think high school kids are a little more trying to be rough and tough and whatnot. But in a good way too.
Right.
Like in high school, a lot of students kind of like to throw, as they would say, throw shade at their teachers, but then I think the better teachers throw it right back at them, that kind of gives them a license and their relationship and whatnot. Where, with junior high kids, they're so young and sweet that they, I don't even think they would know how to do that if you asked them to. But so they're all extremely helpful. I think that's been the thing that shocked me the most is how much every single one of my students would just love to help out with anything, whether it's carrying books from the lab to the classroom or, again, helping organize the school supplies when they come in or anything like that. I've been almost overwhelmed with how helpful they've been. So it's been super, super nice. And in terms of the second part, I guess one goal that I always have teaching, no matter at what level, I think the top goal I always have is to teach confidence in students. I think that confidence is what can take you through education and then also through life. So, for example, presentation skills. We will be working a lot. I will be with the students on their science fair projects and whatnot, and so they'll have to be presenting to a panel of judges. But so how are they able to present their project and sell their project? So we've started working on that a little bit, but when you walk into a room, how do you greet everyone? Do you greet with a nice firm handshake? Do you look them in the eye? When you talk in class, can everyone hear you? Those kind of things. But I really think a lot of that boils down to confidence again. I tell my students it's similar to having someone, or it's similar to a basketball player, stepping up to the free throw line at the end of a game and looking at the basket and thinking, there's no way I'm going to make this, right? Then you're probably not going to make the shot. But if you step up to the line and you say, oh, I've got this, you have a much higher chance of it actually going in. So I think a lot of times it's being confident in yourself, being confident that, hey, I can do this, you know. Maybe science isn't my best subject, maybe it's not my favorite subject, but I know that I can do it. Maybe I don't know how to do that math problem, or maybe if I don't think I know how to do that math problem, there's no way I'll ever be able to do it. But if I'm confident that I'll be able to figure it out, then there's a good chance I'll be able to do that. And so kind of going along with that, trying to teach my students how to learn how to learn. So again, on one part to be confident, but also how do you learn how to learn? So as we're preparing junior high students, especially for high school, if they have classes that they don't have a teacher that gives them as many notes, and it's up to them to take notes or something along those lines. How are they able to learn how to learn the material on their own, but also make that fun? You know, kind of become, you know, one of the SLEs here at school is becoming a lifelong engaged learner. But so really trying to focus in on that. How do each of our students become that lifelong learner, and how do they enjoy doing it as well? So, yeah, I think that sums up kind of my philosophy for at least the year. If every student at the end of the year can walk away with those couple of things, I think I'd be extremely happy for sure.
That's fantastic. Definitely, I got a big smile on my face. You can't see it over the telephone call, but very excited to hear that. It sounds like, you know, you're bringing a lot of confidence, joy, fun, love, respect, you know, obviously from our Catholic faith-filled, you know, educational experience that we have on campus. So, you know, real excited. I think, and I hope a lot of people who listen to this really see a lot of value, not just in what you're bringing to the table in your class, but you're an example of what each class has their own kind of unique identity with each teacher, but they have that common field mission of, you know, listening to some of these fundamentals that you talked about, that we have in all of the classes and in many of the events that we have. And it's not just from the teachers or not just from the students, but from the parents and the whole community. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you know, share it. Everyone can listen to this on the website, on our Facebook page. We're going to have it on the podcast. So if you got an Apple phone, you can go to iTunes. If you got an Android phone, you can go to Google Play Music in the podcast section. Just look for the SMA Audio Show. And we thank everyone who's listening. Thank you so much for your attention. We know your time is so valuable. But we think that this, along with many more future interviews with Mr. Okuley, will add a lot of value to you, add a lot of trust and confidence and joy that, you know, you're making the right decision by having, you know, your child or your children be a part of the SMA family, not just for right now as their students, but even after they graduate and move on, you know, just having them be a part of the story is a blessing in itself. So, Mr. Okuley, I hope you have a great rest of the Wednesday. Thank you so much for your time in dedicating, you know, to this interview and sharing a little bit more about yourself. So those who haven't gotten to know you, you know, they'll get to know you a little bit, and when they meet you in person, they can shake your hand and give you a big smile.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity for sure. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, and you have a great day.
Yes. You too. Have a good one.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.